All right guys, welcome back to Hobson's Choice Harleys. We're continuing on the 41, getting a lot of stuff done. So we've got this 1972 front end with the Invader. It's got the PM brake caliper on it. So this front end replaced the Springer that was on here. Very cool, and I didn't realize that. This is a 31.5mm tube front end, which they only made 2 years, but it fit right in here. I'm about 2 inches longer than the Springer, which is nice. It's got PM brakes, it's gonna stop. And then I was looking high and low all over the world on the social media looking for a sissy bar. My local guy, Larry, built this sissy bar 40 plus years ago, and he built it for a Knucklehead. It was sitting in his vault of treasures. How perfect is that for this bike? So this is just dry fit. I don't have my angle figured out until I figure out my seat, but that's beautiful. Over here, if anybody's interested, here's this Jammer Springer. This Jammer Springer is actually late 60s, early 70s, and it's got this really cool accordion spool hub on it, 21-inch wheel. It's in decent shape. It does need some work on the springs, and it's up for grabs if somebody wants it. That's a heck of a chopper front end. And I think it's, if I measured right, I think it's from the bottom tree to the center of axles 24 inches. So it's not totally raked out, which is kind of good. It's not real stretched out, but it's got a little bit of a rake to it. So we continue on playing. I did look through all my treasures and I found this oil bag. And this actually is brand new. It's never been on. It's got a place for me to put an actual onboard oil filter and the bigger style FX battery instead of the little tiny Panhead Knucklehead batteries were all 6 volt and they would have went down inside the horseshoe tank from the factory. I have that bag. I'm hoping that this chrome one goes in just for the bigger battery. This is made for a rigid frame. It's got an easy fill on it. It's just, there's a lot of advantages. So we're gonna play with that now and see if we can get that in there and make sure all this stuff is working. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this fender was custom built to this frame from Jammer, and the gas tanks were actually custom built to fit this frame. Any other 3.5 gallon Fat Bob tanks do not fit this frame. So again, I got really lucky in that most of the parts for this machine were here, especially the engine and tranny. So far, everything on there is OEM year and type specific for 41 Knucklehead. The Invaders are cool. Some of the sissy bar stuff I'm doing is cool. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put ape hangers on here or maybe a baby apes. We're gonna play with different handlebar combinations and see what feels right and what looks right. But for today, we're gonna play with this oil bag and see. It's made for a rigid frame, and I'm gonna hope it fits just because. So before we get too far into that, I'm gonna try and get a couple more bolts in some of this fender stuff. So I've only got 1 bolt in and 1 bolt started. So I need to kind of get this short up. If you go to the back of the bike and look, the fender is sitting kind of crooked because I don't really have it bolted in all the way. So I am gonna have to take all this apart 5 different times, but before I can put that oil bag and know that it's gonna fit, I gotta have that fender at least snug to where I know it's at its home base, so to speak. Oop, I think that's the wrong flavor there. Nuts that fit it, that's not it. That should be the one, but it don't wanna go. So I might have to run a tap through these or something. So some of this stuff I did not get bolts for. That's the one right there. And of course, this is a shouldered bolt, so it won't go all the way in. So I need 2 of these, this flavor, this size, that are not shouldered. See the difference? Which I know you guys watching that are wrenches are laughing because, oh, everybody knows that. You know, you'd be surprised how much stuff everybody doesn't know. So, got all kinds of crap here. Let me grab another bucket of bolts. All right, guys, so we're just playing again still. So I was able to get a bolt in here, which is I'm gonna need a spacer. I didn't realize that this tranny support actually has a bolt for the fender. I've got both of these in. I'm gonna have to play with it. So what I'm trying to figure out is this bolt goes to here, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to need this bracket underneath for that oil bag, or if this is going to be enough to hold it. So that's kind of where we're at. I want to have a couple of bolts in place ready before I finagle that oil bag up in there. And again, I'll go through and get better fasteners. Right now I'm just kind of dry fitting stuff to see what fit, what don't. There we go. That should be the one right there. So that's that one. See, and this one is kind of being a little wonky, so at some time off camera when it's not just wasting you guys' time, I'll probably pull all these out. I'm gonna put some of that gel stripper on and strip all this paint. I'll run a tap through all of these and make sure all the threads are clean and fresh. And then probably I'll just go down to the bolt shop and just buy new fasteners for everything here. Look at that. That way I've got all new bolts, all new washers, flat washers, lock washers. Okay, so let's see if this treasure, I bought a bunch of stuff. I think this came out of Phoenix, and I had all this stuff and I saved this oil bag. And something told me someday I'm gonna need it. And if you would looky there, guys, she is close. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna put just a dummy bolt in here. And I wanna see how bad I am here. So, you guys watching out there are probably going, hey dumbass, had you put that bracket in the other way? I think if this was just reversed and this was up, that oil bag will drop right in there. No modifications, no fabbing, which to me is good. And the other part of that, which is kind of wonky, is what about that? What? I'm sure it was from this assembly, I don't know. Now I'll be laying up tonight, not sleeping, wondering where does that piece of angle iron go? I know it had to go to the bottom of that other stock oil bag because the bolt holes line up. So once you dry fit everything and I know everything works, then I get to go back and take it all apart again, sand everything down, get it ready for paint. But you know, that's part of it. So if you notice, I'm gonna try and fill this oil bag up here. And then I've got just a dummy bolt that I'm sticking in the hole to keep the front. And then if I bring this bracket, hopefully, all right, I'll have to do it. The other part about dry fitting it is stuff like this. When you put it together, one piece at a time like this, you remember how it came apart. So hopefully you can get it back together the same way. So that's what I'm thinking is gonna work. So there's one. That'll give me enough. Okay. Wishful thinking about the no fab, no modification. Something's gonna have to change, and maybe I'll use that other bracket instead of this one. So what I'm trying to do, if you look here, the distance on the frame's about 3/4 of an inch. I want that even across there. And on that side, it's not bad. On this side, it's way up like that. So I gotta find a happy medium. It would be nice to get it right there. I don't know if I'm gonna have the clearance for that. You know what might do it. So now, I'm wondering if I take that bracket and I feed it in here with my extra 12 hands that I wished I had. And I put that like that. Okay. So that's pretty close. All right. So I really want to try and use this bracket because the curvature follows the frame. So I know that this bracket came from this frame. So we'll see if the guy did this. So we're gonna give this one more try and then we'll move on to something else. I know it's not riveting viewing to watch a guy take the same bolts in and out 5 times, but you want to build custom stuff, that's what it's about. You want to build anything. I mean, if you're building bikes, it just is what it is. So let's see. I did learn that that came out of there like that pretty easily. Now it's too low. Okay. Well, we're going to have to play some games with that, guys. You have to bear with me. We're going to go one more time. We're going to pull that bracket off and just see what our angle iron does. Because the other thing, these 2 holes here aren't mating with those 2 holes where I want it so that it's in there straight. Maybe drilling some holes is not a big deal, but I'm wondering if the angle iron bracket is a better choice for this. And worst case scenario, I'll cut up some stuff and make my own. So let's pull this off. And let's see what this one does. So see, it doesn't line up there. Doesn't line up there. Interesting. It does line up there. So the other thing I can do, give me just a second. So the old school Panhead ones actually utilize this bracket. And that was the bracket and spacer that went underneath the oil bag. And I'm trying to remember, I think it comes off the back of the transmission. Speaking of transmission, I did get my transmission plate out of the sauce and cleaned up. I'd never seen a chrome one. So that goes there. And if I'm not mistaken, that will, yeah, maybe not. Oh, you know what? This is for a panhead. This is for 58 through 64 panhead. This is for a swing arm panhead. This actually bolted on top of the swing arm. And then you had a spacer here under the oil bag. So that's not my cure, but you never know. We'll figure something out. So I wanted to check these. See the difference here, guys, in the oil bag size from this side to this side? It'd be so much nicer to get an FX style battery in here versus this battery. Yeah, that's the way that was meant to be. Yeah, this bracket don't line up, so I don't think this is oil bag related. So this was meant to hold it. So what I might have to do is I can't find a cap that fits this. And I'd really like to have the one with the oil filter built into it. So probably what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to put this up in there and I'll have to lock it right where I want it. So I'll have to get my spacing right where I want it here. And then I'll just have to, well, so if I sit on top of here, look how perfect. She's close. In fact, I can even put a spacer here. What do I got for a spacer? Just dry fitting. So I did that. What else do I got here? Okay, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas. So see, she lays level with the whole frame right there. That's pretty cool. So I would just have to cut under here and build me a little custom bracket. If you look straight down from here, see I'm not centered from here to there. So that means I would have to, right there. That's where she sits, guys. Right there. So my height adjustment will need some playing around with. And then I'll have to see. Yeah, I can make this work. So I'm gonna have to build some spacers for here. All right, I'm gonna pull these off. So if I did that there, and I did that there, boy, she's so close. My problem is, if you look up inside here, there's a gap right there. If you look, this is a 90-degree angle. This is not a 90-degree angle. So what I'm gonna have to do is probably build a couple single, instead of this long bracket, I'll build two single that have the right curvature here, and then put a gusset plate in there, and it'll bolt right in. It'll be just fine. And again, before I go too crazy with that, I need to set this transmission in here and make sure I'm not losing transmission clearance. Shouldn't be an issue because it's a lot narrower here than the other one. So that's gonna work. Been saving that for quite a while. Okay, so we've got our sissy bar dry fit. Again, I can't figure this angle out, so I figure what seat I'm gonna work on. And then it's got the bracketry for my license plate and brake light's gonna go up here. Got a couple holes I'm gonna have to weld the machine tight. Probably gonna have to do some holes for P-pad seat combination, but I don't have the seat, so that's all stuff I can't do now. I've got my wheel up at Larry's where I got my sissy bar. Unfortunately, I don't have a lathe and I'm having custom spacers built. So what I ended up doing is taking a juice brake drum assembly from 62 through 69, and I'm mating that with a mechanical 41 brake shoe assembly. So it all had to be custom built, and I don't have a lathe. So Larry's cutting that. So I need to get the Invader back on here exactly where it's gonna sit before I can truly set this fender where I want it. And I need the seat before I can truly set the angle of the sissy bar. So a lot of this we're just playing with. So the next time I hit parade, just because we want to get a feel for it, is we need to put some risers on here to start fitting bars. I'm thinking maybe a mini ape, like a 12 or a 14. I do have a nice set of chubby apes. They're the 1.5 inch diameter, and they narrow for just for where your grips are and your risers are. They're like an 18 inch. They reach way up there. I think they're gonna be too high. What do we wanna try here? Let's try this set of risers right here. If I am mistaken, these might be the set that came off of this front end. And I do have 2 or 3 other trees. These are trees. You've got a top tree and a bottom tree. I've got a really nice couple set of chrome trees, but once I found out that this is a 31.5-inch tube, the diameter of the tube, that they only did 2 years, it's kind of rare. I don't think the stock Sportster trees are gonna go. In case you guys didn't know, I'm sure a lot of you do, this is a Sportster front end, this narrow glide front end, and some FXs had it. This actually came off an FX, and I think it was stock. So we could do that. And then what do I want to do for bars, guys? So I do have these bars that came off of that Springer. Not feeling it. I think the pullbacks, so these have got an 1.5 inch pullback. I think I need to go straight with those. Trying to keep those bars together anyway, because they came with the Springer. So if somebody wants to buy the Springer, those bars might need to go with it. So I do have this set, which is straight. So we could do a set of straight and then a short little drag bar like this. I also got a set of buckhorns, but the buckhorns don't fit it. I don't know, I got Charlie Fagan out in Missouri sending me a set of bars that are real close to those Springer bars down here. They're brand new Harley bars. He just hadn't been able to get around to shipping them yet. So I'm kind of not sure which way I'm gonna go. I'm not a huge fan of this. It's the stock style Harley top riser plate. I kind of like the single ones, the chopper style. It's funny, I sold my Panhead, about a year ago. And I told myself, okay, that's it. After engineering and putting a starter on it and doing all that stuff I did, like, okay, my chopper days are done. And then I go buy a 41 Knucklehead and the chopper stuff starts all over again. I guess once it's in your blood, it's hard to get rid of. Okay, so we can't dry fit these. These are a fine thread, so I can't try those risers. Didn't like the pullback risers. What are these risers? These are pullbacks, a little different flavor. So I wonder if I did these pullbacks with the drag bars, or I could do them backwards. Huh. That would be a look. Interesting. Instead of a pull back or a push forward. So which way do we go? See, I don't need them back. Give people something to bitch about. You can't do that. That's not the way they were designed. I can do anything I want to do. Huh. So something like that. And then we slap a set of bars like that on it. That might not be half bad. Huh. Let's see. Huh. I don't know. It ain't horrible, ugly. Definitely be different when flat track bars are kind of a cool look. What I don't know, and again, a lot of this I'll have to get it off the lift. I gotta put my butt right here and see what I can reach. If you guys watched the Softail Sally stuff, I put 3 different seats with 4 different configurations over and over and over again to get it comfortable, because she's got 16-inch 8s on her. I just couldn't get her stance to where I liked her or where she felt right. So that's all the whole thing. Looks are one thing, but I gotta be able to ride this machine. And if your butt's in the seat and you're stretched out trying to reach for your controls, it's dangerous. And more than that, it's just uncomfortable, you know? And this is not a comfort machine anyway. This old Knuckle is gonna beat the crap out of this old man. So I might as well make it as friendly as I can for me personally. And that's why I spend so many hours out here. I've got a really cool old lady. She's beyond supportive of all this stuff. She loves it, so, which is good. She's kind of, what do they call that? A football widow or a sports widow? She's a scooter widow. All she's got to do is come out in the garage when I ain't around, because I'm out in the garage more than I'm anywhere else in the scheme of things. So we're gonna try and dry fit those little drag bars and just see what it looks like. And again, I know if I turn these around, I'm not gonna like it at all. Oh, that's like the never-ending bolt there. Okay, so we're gonna just see. Okay, let me get them centered. So it's kind of cool. Choppers were always personal expressions, you know, no two are alike. Everybody built their chopper the way they wanted it, which is kind of fun. There's no right or wrong, there's just what you want to do. So it's kind of fun to play with these old machines and do what you want to do. And anybody who's been in the garage and done their own work always appreciates that and respects that out of somebody else. There's a lot of stuff I see people do that to me is ugly, I would never do. And I still give mad respect to anybody who takes their tools and sits out in the garage and makes something totally unique to their taste. It's funny, the keyboard warriors, there's a lot of guys on the net that, you know, feel that they have to go out of their way to be jerks or, you know, talk down to people about the way they do their builds. Personally, if you like it, if it makes you smile, do it. That's what I'm all about. All right, and then my gig is always to stand back and check out the stance. I don't know, it's wonky weird, but it's kind of cool. So I'm still thinking it needs 8s. Yeah, that's not the one. That's not it. So what I gotta do is I gotta get a shorter riser down here. So I want something short here and then a set of apes or mini apes, gotta do it. And then I gotta figure out if I'm gonna put a stock sporty headlight on here or a chopper headlight of sorts, I don't know. So that's where we're at today. We've been playing all day, lots going on. We appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget to subscribe and kickstart that like button and tune in for the next episode. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, comment what you guys think. Let me know if you have any suggestions for video ideas or topics you guys want covered, and I'll do my best to include those in my next projects. You guys can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Also, don't forget to check out the Beacons link in the description below. See you next time.